Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's Lean Bites. I hope everybody had a great weekend and was able to get out and enjoy the weather a little bit. And for those of you that are parents, don't worry, school's right around the corner. So don't mean to scare you, but for some of us, it might be a good thing. But my name is Jason Buck. I'm the Business Development Director here at Lean Techniques. If this is your first time here, welcome. Lean Bites are short 16-minute talks. See what we did there? Bites, 16 minutes. Our experts within this provide you with simple, practical tips, techniques, things that you can start applying within your organization today. So before we get started here, number one, if you have any questions through today's talk, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll either address them at the end if time allows, or we can offer more insight into those in an email follow-up. And number two, it's always a huge favor for us to complete a survey that'll automatically pop up at the end of the session. So the feedback is important to us to see what people liked, what you might want to see in future Lean Bites and things like that. So if you have literally 15 seconds to fill that out, that would be fantastic. So with that, I'm going to get us started here. I'm very excited to introduce my friend, Microsoft MVP and Senior Software Engineer here at LT, Alec Harrison, who's going to be taking us through from pilot to payoff, making AI worth the investment. Alec, take it away, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I think this is a pretty common thing. We hear about AI, everybody liking to, well, the big vendors kind of push it because everybody wants your money, right? So I just wanted to do a talk here to talk about how we've actually seen some return on investment and kind of where, some bigger items and some smaller items that we've seen value. Uh, Who am I? Do I kind of know what I'm talking about? A little bit. Like Jason said, I'm a Microsoft MVP in AI, and I run a user group in Iowa. So if you're wanting to learn more about Azure, we kind of do some AI talks there as well. Feel free to hop on and learn some stuff there. The agenda today, I kind of have four different proof of concepts that we've done or projects. Uh, we have reducing brain drain from an aging workforce. I think a lot of industries in general are seeing a lot of workers retire, move on, that kind of thing, and they're being left going, how do we, continue at the scale we're at today while losing maybe some of our more seasoned workers? And that knowledge is kind of out the door, right? Because the uh, sometimes the most documented source is just in people's brains, and when your expert has to walk out the door or retires because they've had a long career, uh, how do we help retain that knowledge and keep that inside our company so that we can continue to be successful and that person feels like they have the ability to move on and retire? Speaking and understanding every language with text and video. We'll talk about, a lot of companies are multi-regional and want to be able to cover multiple clients, consumers, and just make it feel like a more inclusive experience for different people across the board. Then we have a contract renewal system. We built our first MCP system. We were looking at a real use case that could potentially save money. I tell people as helping companies with AI, a lot of my job is raining on people's parades. But I think when we do have use cases or real value, we're totally cool to potentially try out new technologies and see how that works. So we'll talk about that one. And then we have one that saved anywhere between 250,000 to $500,000. We'll end at the end with that. So reducing brain drain from an aging workforce. Uh, I think a lot of different industries are seeing this where, maybe people aren't joining the trades as they saw, or um, they have a lot of workers that have been there for a long time because you're a good company, people want to continue to work for you. The problem with that is as those people start to retire or move on, you're kind of left in the lurch potentially as a company of how do I keep upskilling my current talent? How do I know where those people are supporting us? And sometimes the biggest thing is you don't know that until they're gone. So some companies are trying to proactively get ahead of that and use technology to help bridge that gap. Uh, for this exact sample, I do have a proof of concept here. In this one in particular, we were working with unstructured data sets, allowing people, more junior workers, to operate at a higher level. That is using different types of AI technology and indexing our unstructured data. And then that also is creating a feedback loop so we can then create better documentation. We at the particular client we're talking about had a exam to actually score people to be classified a higher level than they are today. And we were able to use that for evaluation as well to prove that our AI model scores at about where a human does when they start that exam process. For that, we will jump into the only demo for today. So if you wanted a hands-on demo, sorry, this will be the only one. We are having a like office hours next Tuesday at 11, and you can reach out to either myself or Jason at the end of this, and we can get you added there. If you let us know if there's a particular sample that you want us to dig more into during that time, let us know. This is the Azure AI search sample. This is out there for free for anybody to use. It's open sourced in GitHub. You can kind of ask a question and it'll give you an answer. This is how we made a lot of our content searchable. And then we also built out a feedback mechanism that could feedback into our content production system. So people who are producing the content, we had a fun saying that if a computer and AI struggles to find the content, it's probably not easily found, or maybe we even just didn't include it. Um, and of course, with the demos, we are getting a very lengthy response that doesn't usually take this long, but we might pop back over to this in a minute. Let it run in the background. We can come back. So another sample we used was speaking every language for text and video. This is an example of an internal application we're building. We also did this for a client as well of using Azure Document Translation Services. So if you notice here, this was a presentation or a snippet of a slide that our interns actually made for one of our internal projects called the Security Header Project. So LT has a project where you can go and basically put in the URL of your company and it'll see if you're compliant with security headers. This was taking their presentation and translating it. One thing that's really cool with translation of text is you'll notice it kept the formatting the same, the coloring the same, and it knew what to translate and what not to. And by that I mean these were all the pieces of the slide. This was an image of the actual console that we had there. So it translates different pieces and tries to assume it. And then we also have the ability to translate videos as well and keep it segmented to line up with the video so that if you have content you've produced in English, you can actually translate it and have it mirror how that works in any other language that Microsoft supports. Um, we have seen upwards of 95% accuracy. Um, and then we've also supplemented that with they allow the ability to use glossaries so you can put in industry specific terminology or phrases. So if you don't find 100% accuracy, there's ways to build that in so that your translator can speak the same language you do. For example, like your industry specific terminology, if there's specific translations that you know, hey, maybe there's 3 different ways to do this from English to Spanish, but we prefer this one over the other one. There's flexibility in the technology to do that. Um, we've seen huge reductions of cost. So I believe translations are $1 per minute per language, which it would cost somewhere between, I think they said like $2,000 to $3,000 for like a 5 to 10 minute video. And the other big killer was it would take them somewhere between a quarter or two of real time. So you're looking at 3 to 6 months just to get your video back in the translated format, whereas Microsoft can do it in under an hour for most cases. Uh, and then we had real-time sentiment analysis that we built out. That one was more of a proof of concept, but it could see in real time somebody talking and how that works of, hey, maybe they're angry, maybe they're happy, just to show you can also interact with LLMs in any language in real time. A contract renewal, MCP. So if you're unfamiliar with the MCP protocol, it's the Model Context Protocol. It's kind of the new hotness in AI that they're trying to use to say, hey, you now have this new way to interact with your APIs potentially, or it's just the new way for AI to interact with your systems. So if you're building systems today, they advertise it as a way to make your systems accessible by AI. This one was, we wanted to play with the cool technology. We're technologists after all. We like to play with the fun new stuff, but we needed to have a use case that actually made sense. So what we actually did was build a contract renewal agent that would remind people that their contracts were due. Uh, that way, all they had to do was submit a signed contract to a certain folder or area. The agent then took it from there as far as grabbing important information, figuring out how much stuff cost, getting the appropriate parties if those were specified in the agreement, and specifying any of the steps in the agreement for renewal. That would also then trigger a calendar response that was again all automated by the AI agent so that it could go for calendar reminders so people couldn't forget, hey, I have a contract to be renewed or something like that. And the reason that was important to that particular client is missing a contract renewal can cost downtime and money. They said about 50 to 90K per occurrence. So making sure we were on the level of pretty obnoxious was important. Um, and then we wanted to use MCP as well because that allowed the flexibility of that client is rolling out Copilot for all of their M365 users. Because it's an MCP agent, we then can implement it and ingest it in Copilot, which allows for flexible interfaces, right? Like we could build a normal traditional AI or a UI. In this case, we also wanted to play with to see how Copilot could work. That one that saved us a lot of money was data classification. So we have a ton of unstructured data just sitting out in PDFs. It's very costly in time and materials for people to do this. And then we also could use AI to rapidly at scale validate that the rules we were using made sense or didn't. Some metrics we had was it would take a human 4 minutes to do a single file. Our first pass using GPT-4o, we were able to classify documents, 22 of them in a minute. So we are already 88 times faster. The newer model, we use GPT-4o mini or 4.1 mini, sorry, and we got it up to 369 files per minute. So extensive multiples. And I believe their amount of files they had on average were, I believe, 2.2 million. And we estimated that the 250K to 500K was what they would have to pay just to have people manually flip through the PDFs, which was something they were looking into. To, I think it was going to be 30 to 50,000 to just feed all those through AI. And we would see a massive amount of just savings in AI costs and also time because we wouldn't have to do that. Like I said before, join us next week for AI office hours, and we'll talk about, let us know if there's any particular POC that you want to see maybe highlighted or shown there, or if you just want to talk AI challenges and frustrations you have, happy to do that too. We'll be doing it Tuesday, August 12th at 11. There's my handle if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And I got 1 minute to show you the demo. So this is roughly how it works. We changed the UI to fit their use case a little bit better than this. This is just the standalone sample. AI does its best to answer the question that you give it, but it also then gives citation. So you also then are training your user base to feel comfortable with AI itself. Again, the demos are not working like I want them to be, of course. So typically this will also then show up the PDF where it's grabbing the information from. So if you don't trust AI, you can always go and validate it yourself with the references there. But yeah,
If that's it, I don't see any questions. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple months. If we don't see you at our Friends of LT happy hour. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
bye everyone.